Welcome back to Chicago Sports Update here on IAP Podcast. This is Matt.
And this is Brennan.
Yes, we are back from our little impromptu break. There wasn't, I guess I needed a break more than anything. You were on vacation. I'm glad you had a good time. You happened to see Night of Champions live. How was the show?
It was fun. I think I was happier with the product being there than probably people watching at home on the network. Especially with the ending. I feel like people are probably disappointed, and being there, I don't think it was as disappointing. I think the run-in was exciting enough where I felt like we got our money's worth. Not that I paid for the ticket, but if I had, I was okay with it. There were some other things that I was upset about, and we can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, certainly. We certainly will. I think I might agree with you. It felt like for those viewers at home, for those you viewing at home, for $9.99 on the WWE Network app,
How
uh,
much was it?
$9.99 with a 6 month commitment.
Otherwise, it's twelve
um,
ninety
yeah.
nine. Jerk. They don't mention that part.
So otherwise, it really kind of felt like I guess maybe a Super Raw or Super SmackDown. It didn't. I don't know. I guess everything that happened there didn't translate over into through the screens, I guess is the best way to put it. Overall, though, I thought it was a fairly enjoyable show. Not certainly not up to what we'd seen from SummerSlam or from WrestleMania, but this is probably this is probably one I would consider. I would like to think it would be considered one of their bigger nights or pay per view events in a year. Right now, full hog into Hell in a Cell. Now, I couldn't recall if one of the winners of I think the winner of a main event at either Hell in the Cell, Royal Rumble, or oh gosh, I can't think of the other one. I figured he was either one of those two gets an automatic bid at WrestleMania.
It's Royal Rumble, and then Elimination Chamber would be the other one.
Okay, okay,
So yeah, Night of Champions I would probably put on the second tier of pay-per-views. Same,
okay.
I would probably say the same thing with Hell in the Cell, because the fact that you get the main event, uh, in the Hell in the Cell is, I think that alone puts that on the second tier. Night of Champions is, it's kind of dedicated to, exactly what it says, the champions. So, um, I think they kind of, got hit with the injury bug again. Roman Reigns
Yeah.
had to go into surgery the day before the pay per view while I was in Nashville. Um, just kind of crazy. Uh, and so right away, I was like, well, then they're gonna have to do something with Dean Ambrose. And my cousin said the same thing. Like, well, they're gonna have to bring Dean Ambrose back quicker than they want, and they did. And I think everyone in the arena knew it was gonna happen, and it didn't matter. The roof off the place, still. I kind of said that backwards, but you know what I mean. The place went
Yes.
crazy. So
Go crazy.
the Ambrose thing was very exciting. The run in at the end, when we all thought Rollins was going to uh, really cash in and maybe try to at least pin Brock, uh, it was really exciting. The way the match ended with a DQ, I guess you don't want to see that happen, but the way it happened, I guess I was okay with.
Yeah. Now, and we'll get into some of the we'll get into more of the wrestling talk here. Well, after our main sports or mainstream sports, I should say, we get through some of the news from them. We're trying to stomach the home loss to the Packers, and let's see. I didn't get to watch most of the game due to just house
Lucky.
chores. Yeah, but I did listen, and I tried to catch here and there when I was vacuuming or whatnot. But it I liked what I heard to start off the game. A long surgical drive, chewing up half the quarter, and more than half the quarter. And if the fact is that, but it, it I ran into a store after that initial drive, came back out, game was tied, and I wasn't in there more than maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and that was really disappointing. It going into the game, it is one of the marquee rivalry games on the NFL season for the Chicago Bears, and I'm really tired of losing to them, and especially the way that the Bears end up losing to the Packers. I particularly don't understand it. This game was it felt like they tried to be too smart and not and not doing what we say here and what Tom Thibodeau says of do your job, and they just didn't do it. We got to see Jay Cutler being bad, saying, F it, Cutler.
He was really good in the first half, though. Really good in the first half.
He really was. You saw that either, the wideouts were, if they were getting open, they were getting the ball. Otherwise, it was a quick check down to Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett, tight end, having perhaps I think it was his best reception game of his, I think only, 20-game career here with the Bears.
In his best season, too. I mean, he's had...
Yes.
This is, to start anyways, definitely his best season so far.
Absolutely. So it's difficult for me to say. It's difficult for me to stomach the way that the loss happened. I felt as soon as they were turned away from a touchdown due to a penalty getting called back, and okay, or I forget what the case was. If it was they got in fresh set of downs, first and goal on I think the 1 yard line, and they don't punch it in for the score, I immediately felt that was going to hurt, and I hate it when my gut's right like that. Followed immediately, I shouldn't say immediately, but a pinpoint, precision, 1-minute drill by Jay Cutler to get downfield and to put themselves in a position to score. They don't even break the goal line. I wanted to kind of blame some clock mismanagement early on in the drive, but I don't know why teams.
It was.
Go ahead.
I think that was so close, and he probably did get in. I'm not gonna blame. I can't blame anyone on that last. Obviously, you're talking about the last drive of the half.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you can blame anyone. To me, it was done perfectly. You would have scored without giving Rodgers the ball back, and I just think it just didn't work out because there was a guy in the way of the camera. I mean, it was like the perfect storm of crap, just bad luck. The previous drive where you're right, where they weren't able to punch it in and they settled for 3. I think that might have been the game because Green Bay was scoring on every possession, not 3 points, 7 points. So the fact that you got the ball first, you did score, then they scored. Green Bay was receiving at the end of the half, or to start the second half, rather. So you had to keep putting up 7 because that's what Green Bay was doing. The fact that you put up 3, that was kind of the end right there, at least the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And that's how little margin of error the Bears' offense had, because that's how great Green Bay's offense or how poor Chicago's defense was playing.
Yeah. It was just, to me, it was just frustration all around. There wasn't really it just wasn't a clean game. It turned into a very sloppy game, and obviously getting shut out in the second half, you're not going to win many games by doing that. And I
Once you score
I don't know.
40 in the
Yeah, it got laughably bad when it came down to it.
and it was
So,
the the Bears offense, like I said, I thought was good in the first half. In the second half,
mhm.
they're behind, and I think they're trying to force it. One of those interceptions, we all heard by now that it wasn't Jay Cutler's fault. Can't blame him on that one. It was Brandon Marshall's fault. Even the head coach basically called Brandon Marshall out. Trestman called Brandon Marshall out, which you
Mhm.
don't normally hear head coaches do. So he really must have, that really is on him.
Yes.
The defense. The defense was just so bad. They allowed the Packers to be so efficient. I'm trying to add up the plays here. Hold on. Let's see. 23, 31, 57, 41, 49 plays. The Packers only ran 49 plays. They scored 38 points. That's got to be some kind of record. Like
Yeah,
that's like for like offensive efficiency, that's ridiculous.
I mean, it certainly was. I mean, you if the Bears ended up controlling the ball, they won the time of possession game. They lost the turnover battle, which plenty of blame going around. But I don't know what had to change for the offense going into the second half. They were doing so many good things. I I just don't understand it. Is the defense that bad? Is it a fact that is it
They
well
were
the
on
scheme's
Sunday.
bad? Yeah, to me,
Does Jared Allen
thankfully
make
I
that
haven't.
much of a difference?
God, I really can't believe that he does.
Right?
I
He doesn't even have
really
a sack
can't.
yet.
Exactly. And
Firecracker.
I found it amazing that he could drop 15 pounds from pneumonia in the matter of a week. Uh, I'll gladly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone that could use to shed a few, I would gladly take that.
Huh.
But in all seriousness, was the what wasn't who wasn't prepared? Was the scheme bad?
Yes.
Is the scheme bad?
Yes.
Are the players bad?
Yes.
I tend to kind of agree with that. I mean, it seems like anytime Randall Cobb steps on the field or Jordy Nelson, they're immediately open. It doesn't matter. It's just, and especially if Charles Tillman's not on the field, they might as well just be a puddle of goo.
Yes.
They might
Jay,
just,
I definitely agree that Jay Cutler and Ned Yost were leaving guys wide open all day long.
so yeah, it's just
I like
so
why
absolutely
why
frustrating.
why can they look one way against like okay, they even though they lost to Buffalo, they looked okay at times. They looked good for a quarter in San Francisco. I mean, they looked worse overall in San Francisco than they did in Green Bay. At least the offense.
Yeah.
Um, the defense hasn't looked this bad ever. Maybe this might have been the worst defensive performance I've ever seen by a Bears team. Um, and that's saying a lot because I watched 16 of their games last year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
um, but and then they looked good against the Jets, and I know a lot of people want to say the Jets are a good team. Obviously, those people watch too much ESPN. I don't think the Jets are a good team. But when the Bears do play good teams, they'll probably look really good against Detroit, and I think they're an improved team, if not good. They're a better team, and they'll look really good. Like what is it about the Packers? What is it exactly that the whole team pisses down their leg
Yeah, I don't get
every
it.
single year?
No, you're absolutely right. That's just what they do. I don't know what it is. That's the perfect way of saying it. They just dribble down their leg and a puddle forms, and I don't understand it. I don't know who gets it. I'm not going to sit here and blame the refs. They had a very rough game
The
from
first two really bad calls went against the Packers. It went for the
yeah,
Bears.
absolutely. They had a rough game. Unfortunately, the rougher penalties ended up really costing them. I didn't think defensive holding could ever be called on a field goal attempt. I
Well,
never
yeah,
really thought that
okay,
was
but
possible.